Hey guys, welcome back to whatever this is, and on today's episode, I feel like I'm a little late to this topic, but I really did want to hit on it. As we all know in the news a little while ago, the 3DS actually had finally been kicked the bucket, as Nintendo did stop manufacturing on it. So on this episode, I just wanted to talk about how wonderful the 3DS truly was. Alright, let's get into it. So guys, here we are. It's the end of the road for the 3DS, a system that came out in 2011. That was 10 years ago. Yikes, I'm getting up there. But anyways, with this system, it was a great system for what it is. It was a wonderful piece of handheld tech. Even back then when people were saying that, oh, tablets are going to take it over, the system's not going to sell. And at first, they were right. This system did not sell well at all. I am one of the few people who do have the Ambassador program on my DS at this time. It's still there. I have the bonus games that they gave out, because if you don't remember, they had to slash the price drastically to make this thing at least competitive in the market, where people were like, okay, it's to a point where I feel comfortable buying it. And they gave you, anyone who bought it before the price drop, they gave you 10 free games, which 10 were Nintendo and 10 were Game Boy Advance, and the Game Boy Advance games never came out. I honestly thought they were going to throw them on here, and they never did. I'm still kind of shocked about that. But I have them on this 3DS, and they're kind of the only way you can get them, which is kind of awesome, as they're really exclusive to the people who paid initially. Now, this is clearly not my original model. I have upgraded every time they released a new model, because I don't have a problem at all. None. None whatsoever. And when it comes to the system, it had wonderful software to back it up, and the games just kept coming, especially at a time when you had the main home console of Nintendo failing, and not just failing a little. By God, it was spectacular. And this is coming from someone who genuinely likes the 3DS hardware, and they really botched it on that system, which is really unfortunate. But the games are coming to the Switch. That's neither here nor there. With this system, though, this is what kept Nintendo alive. And my God, they just made so many good games for this system and revived even a franchise that was supposed to be dead. Fire Emblem shouldn't exist, and it sure heckin' does, and it's great. When Fire Emblem Awakening hit, I remember that being the moment when it's like, oh, okay, people want Fire Emblem? What? There's like me and 3 people who play that. Who are these new people playing it? And it turns out it was a lot of people even I knew that just suddenly got into the franchise, which is great, and now the franchise is alive and well. Haha! And we have the Mario 3D Land. You had Mario Kart. And I always have this wonderful memory of Mario Kart on this system when I was doing one of my programs. And as we were finishing up, we did our last exam together, and a few of us sat behind in our class, as our exam room was in a different room than our main class. We all kind of scurried back over there once we were done, and there was about 7 of us playing Mario Kart 7 on our 3DSs. Our professor sees us in there at some point, pops his head in and goes, "What are you doing in here?" And I'm like, "Oh man, we're playing Mario Kart!" And he just looks and goes, "Ah, they're all stupid," and then just walked away. I absolutely love that moment, because it was a good way to kind of close out doing that program that was really intense with a bunch of other people. We all just sat around and got to play some 3DS together before we all separated. As the system's multiplayer was really good. If you played Animal Crossing on it, it was an easy way to visit other people's villages. And my favorite thing about it that I wish Nintendo continued was the Street Pass. If you guys remember, there was a Street Pass where you get little puzzles of like maps and stuff, or character designs, and you would get them by tagging other people as you were walking around. And at conventions was the big time, or at least, you know, here in Canada and North America, Because maybe if you're walking around downtown Toronto, you might get the handful of people, maybe, who carry their 3DSs, but at cons, you'd get them all the time. And you would be able to fill out your puzzles that way. So you'd see groups of people sitting around just trying to, oh, I gotta get that puzzle piece, gotta get that puzzle piece. Oh, can I get the puzzle piece? Oh, I can't get that puzzle piece because this guy, blah, blah, blah. And it was a lot of fun. I remember, like, hey, you come to a con, hey, make sure you bring your 3DS. You gotta do the street passing. Oh, it was so much fun doing that stupid stuff. And I guess that brings me to what were some of my favorite games on here. Now, I've picked 5 games, and when it comes to this, I was trying to pick a wide variety that I thought were a nicer variety to pick from. So if someone was picking one up, or maybe I'm going to mention something here that you haven't heard of, especially when it became late into the 3DS's life, when the Switch was out, everyone was kind of forgetting that the 3DS even existed. I mean, fair, the Switch is incredible, but everyone kind of forgot. There was a couple games that just kind of trickled out, but they did come out and they were really, really fun. So I'm going to go through that list, guys, as this is one of my favorite systems. Not my top system, but easily one of my top 5 systems. And let's get into the games. Alright, guys, let's get into the games. And in this instance, I'm going to kind of just knock out games that I think these are 5 games that anyone who is looking at the 3DS should try and look into. So the first game would be Mario 3D Land. This game is absolutely a blast. I did actually really recently this year replay through it, and I can absolutely see why I loved it back then. There's so many ideas that they really crammed into this game, and anyone who has a 3DS and hasn't checked this game out, this is a must play. Alright, let's get into the second one. I choose WarioWare Gold. This is an excellent game that anyone should get into, as this game is a nice amalgamation of every single WarioWare game that we ever got, all thrown into one game. So if you've never played it and you've always wanted to check it out, this one has all of them in it. The first one, Twisted, Touch, all of them are in here. They kind of took what their favorites were and slammed them into it, plus a few extras here and there. Now, this next one is going to be absolutely shocking, I'm sure, but I'm going to go with what I think is the best Pokemon game to play on it. Pokemon Ultra Moon. Not Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon. This game was kind of a director's cut to the original game, so what I think was going to happen was this was going to be the third game, so Pokemon Eclipse, and it kind of became this. So they added a lot of stuff, they sped up the intro, it doesn't hold your hand, it knows you know you played Pokemon before, and it gets to the game so you can get moving. And it is so much more enjoyable and a lot more fun. And if you are a Pokemon fan, I am calling this the secret good Pokemon game. Now, for my fourth choice, I'm going to choose Metroid: Samus Returns. If you haven't heard of Metroidvania, here you go. This is a really good one. I wish they changed the graphics a little bit. I wish it wasn't like the pseudo 3D, but it still is a really, really good game. And this came out at a point when the Switch was really starting to ramp up, and people were kind of paying attention to this, but this was the last mainstream 3DS game that I remember that a lot of people were even talking about. This, to me, was... I know there's a few games after this, but this was kind of like the swan song where everyone was paying attention, and now nobody paid attention to it after this release. So if you haven't played it and you want a really good Metroidvania game, I'm going to say pick up Metroid Return. Now for my last one is my absolute favorite of a game for the 3DS. The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. I adore this game to absolutely no end. It puts a big old smile on my face. And if you haven't played it, this is the best Zelda game, that 2D top-down perspective. I love this one. When it came out, I didn't know what to make of it at first. It took me a few weeks to get into it, but once I really dove into this game, I just remember I was on vacation, and so from the plane ride down to the plane ride back, I played through this game from start to finish. I even did everything while I was on vacation. And what was nice is that, again, it didn't take that much time. You could quickly get through this game, or just go at your own pace. But the game does such a good way of just kind of stringing you along. And you could see, and as they said, they were trying out a lot of ideas with this. So with this one, you could actually rent every weapon right away. Instead of, go to the dungeon, get the item, use the item, finish the dungeon. This was, you just could rent them all and then do the dungeons in whatever order, and it didn't matter. And I had a blast with that, just messing around with all the powers, and you could learn really fun ways to fight by using the equipment in really bizarre ways. So in that manner, this is what makes it one of my favorites. And I was, at the time, killing for a remake of A Link to the Past, using this, as this game is a direct sequel of A Link to the Past. So if you guys haven't checked it out, guys, that's it. Check out A Link Between Worlds. It is easily my favorite game on this console. So anyways, guys, that's it for this week. We say goodbye to the 3DS and all the wonderful games that it gave us, as this system was an absolute treat. It got lots of fun ports. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Let me know down below if you guys would be interested in that. Maybe I'd go through my collection. But I just wanted to mention 5 games that I think anybody should check out on the 3DS, especially if you're just getting into it. And this console is always a ton of fun to me. I still use it to this day. I'm still playing a few games that I haven't finished. But all these games in front of me, I have finished to completion, and they are great. Anyone should add them to their collection. So anyways, guys, take care. Have a good one.